Each new day, this artwork is a record of the many changes our realm has seen. And we'll go ahead and read the credits here. Character concept artist, Akihiko Yoshida, Ayumi Namae. Are these, yeah, these are westernized here, because these are all very, yeah, but I guess I'll go ahead and continue. Or no, Takahashi Kazuya, Kasuya Shigeo, Masao Tsubasa, Mihara Nobuyushi, Tanaka Akiko, Tsukada Daigo, Nakazawa Kazunori. Enemy concept artist, Nagamine Ryuki, Tsukumoto Tetsu. Background concept artist, Hama Eichi, Adachi Takayuki, Saito, Rokuma, Tanaka, Kenta. Talk about, that's basically a John Doe level of name. Tanaka being a very common last name. Tsuchiya Kiyoshi, Ueda, Yoshihisa, Yamato Seiji, and Urai Kiyoshi. Not sure where this asterisk is coming from. There's nothing on this page with one, but throughout the volume, certain shorthand labels are used to indicate character design components. These includes ne, head, top, body, glove, hands, din, legs, and show, feet. Good measure, I draw all the characters in full so that they can be freely repositioned afterwards. Akihiko Yoshida was a challenge to combine the three speeches into one single composition from same. Okay. It's not because it's hot that the girl in front is lightly dressed. From same. I drew this with extra room around the subject so that it could be trimmed and used in various ways. I like it best untrimmed though. From same. Well, at this point, unless a new name pops up. I feel like the texture in the background of that one. Did you know he was going for an American comic book? If I didn't only make that bit like that, it might have been more like that. It's a very light novel feeling author comment. This was for a Dengeki PlayStation cover, so I went for something serious. The techniques employed in this piece, created with the full cooperation of Keiichi Baba from the character team, will remain a secret. Techniques employed In this piece, created with the full cooperation of Shintaro Tamai, the animation team will also remain a secret. Among the art pieces I worked on, this one's my favorite, just an telling one I forgot to fill in from the clouds. Why don't we just twist and corrupt her body this way? Wonder if these are from a video interview. And they did a ton of those in comparison to a lot of so I can just picture him motioning it. Since it's not very distinct what he means. Why may just twist and corrupt her body this way, but because her waist area is hidden, it appears as though her legs are also facing the front. Looks kind of freaky, doesn't it? Won't happen again. The first order of business for a new town. A place where various people gather. This portrays the state of the adventures tell for me. It really captures the spirit of 14. Takahashi. In an MMO, it's fun getting together with others. People looking things up, people making plans, people talking about fishing. That's what I wanted to portray here. I drew this for the Chocobo companion and tried pairing our bird with a Makote. Beneath the standard was Yoshi P's idea. Medium. It's big, like it should be. In Limsa Limsa, the Admiral leads where the people enjoy a fair amount of freedom. That's the impression I wanted to give. The behemoth has to be about this massive, I reckon. Yeah, so it looks like we're getting into various city-state promotional. For Gridania, a harmonious layout with Kami Sun at the heart, the light in the middle envelops a tree, and below a river flows. Namuno and Ruban, gazing in the same direction, they come as a set in this piece. Gave Namuno a cape, so as to lend her a majesty befitting the ruler of Wada. The first training battle in the Wolves' Den. I tried for a layout that captures a turbulent sea in the clash against Leviathan. This one was done back when the eagerly anticipated long hairstyles for Makote arrived. No, I actually vaguely remember that. Seeking to create a lively, fun, and warm place for players to return to, I crammed in lots of elements like a dollhouse. I normally work on character-related designs, so I found it fresh and fun to draw houses and furnishing. Namai. A group defending its space against two attacking factions in front line. I find this sort of situation thrilling. That one's from Takahashi. Looks like we might be getting more variety of commentators here. The order was all primals versus all jobs, so this is filled with lots of primals and lots of jobs. The backdrop is based on different battle, hence the Infernal Nail, Masao. In order to distinguish this illustration from the rest, all the player characters are wearing high Allegan gear. Personally, I just wanted to draw complete sets of gear. An illustration of Odin. In order to portray space itself being cut by Zantetskin, I divided the top and bottom halves of the picture and shifted them slightly to the side. Nagamine. The order called for primals with the Bahamut reigning over them. This is my first time drawing something big. I had trouble with it. I feel that I got Odin's placement right. Gaius von Velsar, together with his 3 lieutenants, made the gunblade shorter so that it fits better into the picture. An illustration of Nail von Durnus standing with his back turned, with a silhouette of Bahamut behind. A party of 4 fighting its way through a dungeon. I don't draw human characters very often, so this was a nice change of pace. I forget the name of it, but it looks like that's from that haunted mansion dungeon that they did. I drew the principal lines with a 2B pencil and scanned them. No mechanical pencils for me, from Yoshida. The focus was on ambience, which I cranked up double for the father of the Allegan Empire. He went down kind of easily, but maybe it's just right if you're going to fight him over and over. And this one's from Tsukamoto. Having played FF3, I was deeply moved to have the opportunity to draw this piece. There are spoilers in there, but it's cool, right? Yeah, I mean... For the Crystal Tower, I tried to convey a sense of tragic heroism. Circus Tower is fun to play. I like how you get turned into a frog in the battle against Amon. Thought some of the earlier pieces were a bit cluttered, but looked like we hadn't seen anything yet. I put a lot of effort into making the other look enticing. I had memories of going through trial and error to get a pleasant thrill. Dominant color is yellow, Yamate. Like a giant blade piercing the earth, the dominant color is blue. Bahamut undergoing regeneration via the heart-like core crystal. Tubes akin to veins twine around the crystal. The dominant color is red. The thing you see sticking out of the lake in Morgana at the heart of was that's supposed to be cutting-edge technology. They gave it cannons for a retro look from Takahashi. An early concept for the wolf's den. You can see how the shape was changed by the time it was implemented from Kenta Tanaka. The concept art of Oda's Royal Palace was drawn for the original 14. Because it was so beautifully done, I had it tweaked for use in marketing for A Realm Reborn. Really captures Oda's undercurrents of intrigues, don't you think? Well, I think that's fair for a lot of these. I feel like a lot of them were for the original 14 that we've seen. Although I think those raid promotions were probably mostly done for Reborn. I like this touch, it's easy to draw, you see, from Yoshida. Having finished the job illustrations first, I consulted with Yoshida on how to distinguish the class ones, and decided to do so by giving them dynamic poses. Also, I personally wanted to portray the differences in physique between the races. The result is reminiscent of what I drew in the past for Tactics over Let Us Cling Together, Masao. We spared no attention to detail in the line art for jobs. It was quite time-consuming, since the pieces were drawn by hand and pencil. It was really bothersome to tweak things afterwards, from Yoshida. Classes don't have unique gear, so we had Oda pick the weapons and attire for us. Well, that's not quite true, but I managed to draw a tall, slender Eorza exactly as I had envisioned, and I'm pleased with the result. I drew Carbuncle with the long body of a ferret in mind. I think I went overboard from Masao. Oh, he probably did mean that. I was thinking, it's probably referring to the base classes rather than what's actually being shown here, which are jobs. So that was a bit of a misleading comment given what it was showing. I tried to imbue a sense of new beginnings along with the 14 feel. In part because we didn't have much time to draw the races, I stayed close to the original design by Takahashi. Contrast to the Makote's pop idol theme, we went for princess with the Huron females, though the skirt was a bit short for a princess. We ran a bunch of ideas by cosplayers in the company and ended up going with this design, Namai. Leave it to an Eorza to look dignified in swanky gear, Takahashi. Even before I began work on the big sisterly Eorza, I knew that I wanted to give her long boots to complement her long legs, a halter neck. Yeah, they really like halter necks, it looks like, which would look good on her long neck. The white lace pareo skirt lends it lightness and flair, Namai. Originally modeled on the spirited kindergarten-aged boy, the smock and satchel were adapted for adventuring. It occurred to me afterwards that if Lalafels were taller, this might resemble a hero in Dragon Quest. I felt a pouch of boomers were essential to this design. We had the opportunity to use this and other racial gear designs to make official cosplay costumes. It was tough trying to make the pants puffy in real life. The Miko are supposed to be dynamic and spirited, which I sought to convey here. The design includes the face, and it came together well as a whole. The shirt's upturned sleeves provide an accent. Takahashi. The Miko's energetic idol image is embodied in this outfit. For all racial gear, we are instructed to think of cosplayers, create designs that they could reproduce. I still have fond memories poring over cosplay magazines with the others in a meeting room. Namai. Using black leather to accentuate the rugged bodies, I aim for a brawny and slightly intimidating image. Cassia. Cassia supplied the idea, and I handled the design adjustments. We had very little time to work on race-specific gear, about half the usual. As a result, the artwork in this series turned out rougher than what we typically produce. Namai. I scribbled this during development, but it ended up being used for a central character. That doesn't happen very often. Yoshida. That doesn't make sense. She is a lot more generic looking than the other sort of faction leaders. We considered making her hair long and loose, but ended up keeping it tidy as she's supposed to be a motherly figure. The story is that she listens to the voices of the forest, so I base her attire on an outdoor coat rather than something posh. Namai. Well, I think it's still pretty posh. Although, maybe not as much as Nanamo. Opinion was divided over whether to give her bangs, but we finally settled on revealing her forehead. She's meant to be spoiled and willful, so I drew her that way. I'd like to see her grow independent over the course of the story. Wanted to give him the impression that he's quiet and timid, yet harboring tremendous power. To complete the look, I gave him long bangs to cover his eyes. I tried for a sumptuous outfit that accentuates the unique Lalafellan physique. It's all set off with big jewels after the fashion of Loda, which has a flourishing mining economy. I really like Raoban's design. That said, it might have been better if his right shoulder wasn't exposed. Yoshida. Well, I think that's just an actual joke covering real game events. Where, is it a spoiler at this point? Yeah, he loses an arm. I preserved the version 1.0 design while adding new distinguishing features. Some players poke fun at the fact that you clearly see your backside. When we were discussing it with Yoshida, I said it's not bad open A. He said something like, sure, looks good to me. Masao. Alfinod and Alice say, are currently known as prodigies, but originally the design order called for maverick talents from an otherworldly place. Instead of medieval fantasy, I went for a look that incorporates elements from sci-fi and the Vienna secession art movement. Namai. Well, that makes a lot of sense. They always seemed to be really out of place. Especially after their redesign. His original design had a beard, but we decided to remove it in 1.0 so we could show the passage of time when the realm was reborn, Takahashi. This is Sid from his childhood years. I like Garlean clothing because I feel it still has potential for interesting designs. Mysterious new rays conveying a foreign air, Takahashi. The image I had was that of a strong, mysterious woman. From that base, I aimed to create a cool beauty unlike any existing NPC in 14. It was difficult implementing a character with such long hair, but the animators pulled through for us. Namai. It's interesting. I don't even remember him showing up before having sword. Masao designed his face and I designed his clothing in a collaborative effect. I tried to invoke an Ishgardian sternness and strength while retaining a traditional papal style. The area around the neck and shoulders is made from dragon scales, providing a robust silhouette. Namai. I drew several sketches for the face, and my hero selected one. Aside from the elongated ears, the nose is also characteristic of Eorza's Masao. So it looks like we're getting into the original job armor sets. To make this gear stand out, I strongly emphasize the knightly qualities, like the contours from the thighs to the knees, Takahashi. In previous titles, we've often used light blue and red for monks, but I chose yellow out of personal preference. The models for 14 gear have complicated specs, and it's hard to keep them all in mind when coming up with designs. Yoshida. A lot of work went into the design and placement of the spines. I put some spines on the upper arm so they would move when the player strikes a pose. Takahashi. I took my inspiration from the sensitive, ethereal lines of Omano's design. Archer to Bard represented a marked change compared to other jobs, and with it being the most flashy design among the more grounded visuals of version 1.0, I was anxious as to how players would react in the mind. The order called for something that would look like cute on female characters. I tried out a familiar charm through a simple design, Cassia. The Thaumaturge's Guild has a rather dark atmosphere, which I tried to match with this design, Takahashi. remember designing these and the weapons in a rush, as they were needed for the summoner character art. I was really looking forward to seeing my designs in Yoshida's artwork. Even with the same base design, he was able to bring out beautiful lines that were beyond me. It was an amazing learning experience. Namai. Opinions were split between this and a more traditional brown and white look, but we settled on green and orange to add some panache. The character modeling team put a lot of care into rendering the backpack, one of my favorite parts of the outfit. Designing a ninja for the world of Eorza, I went for an orthodox, form-fitting look that emphasizes agility and added a few organic adornments. The order called for purple, but I personally preferred black and tried to use as much of it as possible. A Japanese carpenter with a Western twist. I sought to give it a sleek and stylish impression, using simple elements for the base. The shoes have separate compartments for the big toes. Aprons sitting on top of exposed flesh gives it a rugged look. Cassia. The top is loose-fitting and easy to move in. In order to keep the impression of roundness in check, I set the apron high on the waist, and it helps to balance things out. Takahashi. First, I designed an exquisite headpiece, a turban with metal trimmings. The parts below the neck are a refined version of Takahashi's draft. Cassia. The look is modern, so as to be fitting for a profession that stands at the forefront of fashion. Starting with the tailcoat, I went for a simple yet elegant design. I paid attention to those accessories that define tailors. In order to comply with the specs, the black inner piece had to be added with a slanted hat. Namai. The headgear and the full body draft are by Cassia. When I was working on the details, I recalled wondering what the FF14 world would be. Fumbling my way through this is one of the first designs I worked on after joining the 14 team. Masao. The headgear is by Nakazawa. This design is from the same time as the Alchemist one. The upper body is form-fitting, while the trousers are filled out. There was also a full body draft by Nakazawa, but I couldn't put it together very well and ended up changing it. This design is based on a classical woodsman. I intended for it to be formed of symbolic elements. The botanist is prone to go in the direction of homely, but the red shirt leads a relaxed kind of flair. Namai. I took cues from mountain string fishing. This design might be number one in terms of the number of pockets. Takahashi. Concept called for gear for low-level adventures, a set that would be simple yet appealing. Takahashi. I took a traditional medieval robe and gave it a modern twist. As its lower level equipment, I focused on giving a flair while limiting the number of elements. Namai. I envisioned entry-level armor that a fledgling adventurer might wear. There are knives on the hips and the armor extends down only to the knees so as to allow for greater movement. Takahashi. This one's inspired by the gentleman thief archetype. Spec-wise, it's difficult to make a mantle for players. To get around this, I designed a one-winged cape that's bound to the body, and so wouldn't look strange without motion algorithms. It worked out pretty well, I think. Masao. Wanted to give the impression of the classical black mage with some added flourishes. Here now that I wish I had closed off the back of the robe a little bit more. Mihara. The shoulder guard on the scale mail is designed to resemble the prow of a Lumsian ship, while the scale coat features a badge with a falcon and anchor. Takahashi. It's a challenge to incorporate the yellow of the Gridanian standard, like the attire that was designed to look good with a bow and a mai. Raban Bowl Udon standard is symmetry guided by these common elements. We worked with black gold and the light blue of the rank badges. Overall, the designs are meant to be reminiscent of Rome and gladiators. They're among my earlier works, and there are many areas that could be improved. At the same time, I think they do the job. Masao. Yeah, the company gear to me, although I feel like in here they managed to make it look appealing, but to me the company gear, the free company gear is probably about some of the most boring in the game. So I think these are dungeon sets. I really don't remember. Well, that I know you had to buy. Yeah, these are like stuff you had to buy from the Allegan stones or whatever. Really don't remember these. Maybe they're from PvP rewards. I think these are, yeah, some of these are holiday stuff. Which I think, well, we'll see it later on more so, but that's one thing that I'm really glad I bought this. Kind of really appreciated, like, well, made me appreciate more so, you know, the work they had to do even at sort of the planning stages for even very small releases. I was hoping we'd get to the next section, but this has turned out to be quite a large section. Kind of wish they'd divided it more neatly. But yeah, so we'll end here. I'll probably, not 100% sure, but most likely I'll be back tomorrow with more of this. That's it for today.